on to my brand new YouTube channel, Solutioneering, a space that is dedicated to exploring and solving societal challenges through the power of good procurement practices. No pressure, guys, just a little thing that we want to do. I don't know, change all of society through spending public money in a far better way. I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited to be here. I can't wait for us to delve into the transformative world of public sector procurement and all things associated with that. For those of you who don't know me and haven't met me and I haven't spoken to over the course of particularly the last 12 months, my name is Faye. Hi. Nice to meet you all. I have had the absolute privilege of working with, probably at this point in time, thousands of procurement professionals and supply chains right across the public sector, variety of different industries over the last 20 plus years. That's about as far back as you're going to get me to go in terms of admitting my age. Plus, I've spoken to hundreds of public sector procurement professionals and SMEs just in the last 12 months alone, taking the opportunity to learn from as many human beings as I can about what makes procurement so bloody great and so important to what it is that we do. I've had the fortune to work in some really incredible spaces, and I have seen and participated firsthand in procurement programs that have changed things, both at a societal level, think test and trace, regardless of what you may have heard about it, what's going to come out of the inquiry, things like that. COVID had a profound impact how we responded to it. Procurement had a profound impact on how our society operates, and that's just at a macro level. But what about the micro level? Things such as helping people to make a house a home, small changes like better heating, a roof that's not blowing off, a kitchen you can actually cook a meal in, things like that on a micro level, public sector procurement, and all of the different spectrum range in between all of that. So I've seen firsthand the power that we have to affect society and individuals when we engage in procurement properly, when we have proper conversations with people who are involved in trying to help solve some of the challenges that we've got. And I'm here to talk about some of that, talk about some of the changes that are coming up as a part of the Procurement Act. So that's what I'm hopefully going to be here to do. We'll see how this goes. I'm excited to get into conversations with people, to get into conversations with anybody who's watching this about anything that might be on their mind in the world of public sector procurement, whether you are a buyer, whether you're a supplier, whether you're just a very keen stakeholder, aka the great British public, who is interested in how things work and how they should work and how they could work. All conversations in this space are 100% valid, so let's get into them. Start off with a really easy one. I mean, it's easy for me. I've got a couple of decades of doing this sort of stuff as a career, so dead easy for the likes of me. But what is public sector procurement? Procurement's a bit of a funky word, isn't it? People think of procurement like, oh, you're like a professional shopper. I go Asda on a Saturday. What is public sector procurement? It's everything. And I don't say that lightly. And I've thought a lot about this over the course of the last 12 months or so. I sort of thought, what is public sector procurement? What is it? How do you boil it down? How do you distill it into something? And to say it's everything kind of underestimates what it is a little bit. If you work in any sort of a commercial space that's got anything at all to do with the public sector, you work with public sector bodies, you work in a public sector body, maybe you work in a council, maybe you work in an NHS trust, maybe you work in central government somewhere, well, public sector procurement will impact you. Do you have your bins collected by the local council? Where do you think the bins came from? Public sector procurement impacts you. Do you work in a local authority and you still use stationery? We all use a bit of stationery, don't we? The humble pen and pencil, I do not believe have gone away. Procurement impacts you. I've had to visit a hospital in the UK. Guess what? Public sector procurement impacts you. Water coming out of your tap at home. Good news. Public sector procurement also now impacts you. It gets into many facets of our lives, arguably most of them, specifically public sector procurement, whether you are a buyer or a supplier within that space or a stakeholder who's impacted by it. It has such an ability to change and shape and influence how things are delivered within our local communities, how we feel about how they're delivered in our local communities, and it can really foster change. It's particularly important at the moment. We're going through a really radical period, aren't we? And it's, you know, they talk a lot about how, you know, things are going in the right direction, but I don't know about you, my purse, or my virtual purse, who carries a purse anymore, it's all on your phone, doesn't feel like it's really having an impact there. Bills have gone up. Council tax has gone up, my water bill has gone up, my energy costs are going to go up at some point in the next couple of months. Prices are rising. We're going to have to do a lot more with a lot less if we're going to have an actual impact on how people feel about some of these changes. The economic challenges that our local areas have got, there's all sorts of other big ticket items that people want to get involved in, and good procurement can actually help to solve some of these problems in a really tangible way. We can look at things like renewable energy, reducing carbon footprint. We know that this is stuff that needs to be done. No one's averse to this idea now. We can only do it through large scale public sector initiatives and through industry initiatives. So what can we do in that space that can really help? How can we do this in a different way that actually has impact and actually has value, it's actually delivered? These are all conversations that we can have. That's what procurement can do. It isn't about buying goods and services. Anybody can do that. You don't need professionals, you don't need experts, you don't need people who know what they're talking about to be able to do that. You set up a process and get someone to follow it. That's not what procurement is. Procurement's about making informed decisions that benefit our society as a whole. Finding the problems that we've got within our public services and knitting together groups of experts who can come up with ideas that solve those problems in the best way possible, at a cost and at a price that's fair and reasonable for that work. Good procurement practices can ensure value for money, actual tangible value for money, not just a 5% cost saving this year on the contract, which, by the way, for anybody who quotes that at you, managing public money, you are bound by this, by the way, public sector people. It isn't about initial upfront bloody cost savings. I don't know who needs to hear that sentence, but please hear it. Managing public money, Google it. It's statutory guidance. You have to follow it. Do it. But we should be looking at value for money. We should be promoting ethical sourcing. We should be supporting local economies. We also should be holding ourselves accountable as public sector bodies and holding suppliers accountable as suppliers to public sector bodies to make sure that what we all commit to, we do. There are new initiatives, there's rules that are going to benefit both parties that are involved in contracts. How do we employ them? How do we deploy them? Let's talk about some of that. I'm hoping we can use this space to highlight how we can drive positive change forward and improve the lives of many, really focusing on some of these things that can have a transformative impact in the right way and ultimately pay for themselves. That really should be how it works. One of the most significant developments that we've got that can back us up on some of this is the introduction of the Procurement Act of 2023. That actually went live on the 24th of February 2025, and that was delayed by 6 months. It's potentially big. The mechanisms that sit underneath it, commercial processes and all that sort of stuff, it's largely unchanged-ish, sort of, but there's a cultural shift that's really happening. It's potentially groundbreaking in the way that we operationally look at procurement. The legal side of things hasn't broadly shifted that much. But what it means operationally, the cultural shift, could be huge. It could revolutionise how procurement's conducted, make it more transparent, make it more efficient, make it more socially conscious and responsible. Really thinking about what we're trying to achieve, not thinking about how we don't get challenged. Obviously, this is very heavily tailored for public sector buyers, but for those of you who are in the supplier space, these are the things that buyers think about. Some of the key features. Risk, big one. Procurement's been redefined. Hey, in Act 1, in C1 Act 1, so saith Shakespeare, on the very first page of the Procurement Act. In fact, let me get some written literature. By the way, you can get this on Amazon. I've obviously gone old school with mine. I've got tabs and all sorts of stuff. As someone who grew up in a land where you'd get 3 written copies and a CD-ROM version, or a floppy disk actually, predating CD-ROMs, a floppy disk version of tenders, I still like things that are written from time to time. And this is an excellent printout of it. You will need to print your own contents page for it. That feels like a missed opportunity. But I'm digressing. It's very good for those of you who prefer the written version. Procurement has been redefined. in the Procurement Act, Part 1, Section 1.1. The Procurement Act of 2023, Part 1, Key Definitions. 1. Procurement and covered procurement. In this Act, procurement means the award, entry into, and management of a contract. For those of you who may be familiar with precursors to this, procurement did not include the management of the contract. Big shift. Procurement is now the commercial life cycle. You may have heard it referred to as that, but for those in the private sector, you'll know this already. You'll know that procurement typically involves contract management. Now, with the Procurement Act, it absolutely is part of procurement, and procurement absolutely should be helping to light the way down some of those paths and change things. If we always do what we always did, we will always get what we always got. What are we going to cover then on this channel? Now that I've done a rant about how brilliant public procurement is, because it is brilliant, and it's the reason why I've been in this industry for so long, because there's so much we can do. We're going to be hosting a variety of different content as we go through. Some of it will be me talking to you guys about different parts of the Procurement Act that are coming in, what my thoughts are on how I think it might change things moving forward, what some of the people I've spoken to have shared with me about all of this. We'll do some in-depth analysis on procurement practices, what we think the societal impact might be. I'd like to talk about some good news stories as well, some good case studies that are going to show successful procurement projects, whether that's under the new Act, whether that's under previous Acts. There's quite a few that have come up, whether that's under other new acts within this space. Hey, provider selection regime, how you doing? Nice to see you. You've been around for a year and a bit now. What's occurring in that space? Lots of really good stuff. So maybe we'll talk about some of that as we're going on. You can also, we all knew it was going to happen. I am a small, medium enterprise, well, I'm a micro business technically. So obviously, there might be tiny little bits of sales pitches. I'll keep it to a minimum, absolutely. So you can also come and join me on my Patreon that's being set up at the moment. I will put links down in the video description below. Subscribers will get the benefit of detailed webinars covering some of the hottest topics of the moment. And maybe, depending on your subscription level, you might even be able to engage with me on a one-to-one basis where I can operate as a trusted friend to your organisation, supporting and challenging us all to do a little bit better in that space. You'll be able to subscribe over there if you are interested in diving a little bit deeper. But over here on this channel, why not come along, be a solutioneer? It's all very exciting, it's all very Disney-fied. For those who do know me IRL, obs, and thank you for joining on this journey towards better procurement and societal improvement, because let's not forget, that's what we're looking for here. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you never miss an update. I will be updating every Thursday, ready for you to watch on a Friday morning with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And also check out some other links in my description below. My Patreon will be down there. There'll also be a link to my company Awesome, because really, aren't we all a little bit awesome? I think so. You can find more detailed information on bespoke transformation, support and training for buyers and suppliers all around the cultural revolution that is the new Procurement Act, if you're interested in something a little more bespoke. We do modularised training over there. You can build your own package based on what your particular support needs are. So do check that out and do feel free to reach out to me through that. So I guess that's it for this particular video. I hope that you liked it. Please let me know in the chat, is there any topic that you are really interested in? Anything that you want to talk about? Anything that you've heard? I really want to make this a space where I'm responding to what people are most interested in. So let me know. Let me know in the chat what your thoughts are, what you're interested in. But that's all we've got time for this week. I'll see you in our next video where we will continue on our journey. We'll dive a little deeper into the world of procurement and maybe unveil some exciting new content. Until then, take care. Time to go. Come on. We're done now. See you later. I'll see you next week. Tatty bye.